What is going on, everybody? My name is Kieran Hannon, and today we are reviewing the brand new Mac Miller album, Swimming. Swimming is the fifth album by American rapper slash singer Mac Miller, and going into this album I was really expecting some sort of generic, shallow, sad boy album where Miller would basically be going, "Oh, my girlfriend broke up with me, I'm very sad." That's not what I got. What I did end up getting was this really jazzy, synthetic hip hop experience where the overall mood of the album was so cohesive and, just came together so perfectly to create this mood that it genuinely didn't feel like a sad boy album. It felt like an album by a very sad boy. The main concepts of the album of like self-acceptance are come into play immediately, with Miller obviously singing about the main, kind of muse for the album being his breakup with singer Ariana Grande. I wasn't expecting to enjoy the jazz influences, and I didn't expect them to be as tasteful as they were. I really feel like this is what is going to make this project stand out in this really crowded hip hop market right now. The second track on the album, Hurt Feeling, was produced by J. Cole, and this is a track that I didn't enjoy as much as the first one. I felt like Miller was kind of patting himself on the back a little too much in this song, which is something, when the whole concept is I went through all this shit and here's me coming out the other side better, I feel like you need to do this track later in the track listing. Now, for people who already know everything about Miller and they know everything he went through with the breakup with Ariana Grande and his DUI and all these things that come up later in the album, and they see Miller coming at the other side of it, but they already knew that he was, that's one thing, but you also have to cater to all of these new people who are trying your music for the first time. And if they hear the first song, which is really sad, and then the second song is you patting yourself on the back, they're going to feel like maybe that's the direction you're going to take it. Now, thankfully, he didn't just pat himself on the back for the entire track listing, and he did bring us through more of the struggle to get to a point where he felt positive about himself. And feeling positive about yourself isn't a bad thing, but don't just pat yourself on the back straight from the off, because it feels like you haven't actually done anything to deserve all of this self-congratulations. I get that the whole point isn't that Miller is trying to just pat himself on the back for going through nothing, but you need to take a new listener, someone coming to you for the first time, you need to take them through what you've actually gone through before you say, I've come out the other side of it, not the other way around. So while I wasn't really feeling it after the first two songs, we get to the third song, What's the Use, and oh my god, this is where I started to feel it. This song features Thundercat on bass, and I feel he is exactly what makes this song, and the way he is used throughout the song is just perfect. Thundercat, as many of you may know, played the bass in some of the songs on To Pimp a Butterfly, so that's where Thundercat popped up on my radar, and I was hoping for something similar, which is actually what I got on this track. I feel like just the way that he adds the funk to this song is so perfect, as well as there was vocal contributions from Snoop Dogg on this track. So Mac Miller is really borrowing some influence from To Pimp a Butterfly and some of the tracks on that album. Uh, Snoop Dogg doesn't do anything revolutionary. He's kind of just supporting Miller's vocals. And I feel like one of the main complaints I had was that Miller's flow was kind of sameish. I feel like too much of that throughout the album would have been boring, so Snoop Dogg coming in here and kind of just adding a little bit of texturing and layering to the vocals really helps this song, and it helps it stand out in the track list. This song is just a perfect blend of every instrument and every little area of the song just blending together perfectly to make something that is, the whole is much bigger than the sum of its parts. Self Care is a song that is pretty simply about Miller and the public's reception and the media's perception of him after his breakup and DUI. It features this really nice beat switch towards the final third of the song, and similarly the lyrical content changes to Miller now singing about how he is in oblivion. Miller is not as popular following this breakup as he was when he was in this relationship with this mega superstar that is Ariana Grande, but he takes some peace in the fact that not all eyes are on Mac Miller anymore. There was something quite peaceful about, I had my kind of run, and now I can kind of just do my own thing and kind of be myself a little more. The song Ladders is another jazzy hip-hop venture that keeps this album going strong right at the middle of the track listing. The first minute and change are kind of just building up to this funky, synthetic jazz beautifulness that is just so goddamn catchy. It just puts a smile on my face listening to this song. Just the funk, the pure funk. It's just infectious. I can't say enough about how great this song is. This is one of, for me, the songs of 2018. It's gorgeous. I'm actually pretty glad that this song seems to be the one that most people are taking out of the album and saying, you know, here's this really good song. And it's the song, if you look at Miller's Spotify page as well, as of this recording anyway, it's the #1 song on Mac Miller's Spotify. I hope that doesn't change, because this song needs to be heard by more people. It's fantastic. It's a great teaser. I wish Miller used it as a single, because if I had heard this as a single, I would have been hyped as fuck for the album, but you know, I didn't, so I wasn't. But I have the song now, and it's going to be in constant rotation for a long fucking time for me. It really shows off Miller's kind of throwback style that you just don't expect from, you know, someone of Mac Miller's stature. I didn't expect it. Now, I can't say that I was a Mac Miller stan. I knew about his relationship with Ariana Grande. I knew going into this album that it would be a sad album with some jazz influences, but I didn't realize it would just be so funky. That it's really more of a kind of jazz album than a hip-hop album to me. Lyrically, the song isn't anything groundbreaking. It isn't exactly To Pimp a Butterfly's level of jazz hip-hop, but it is kind of a nice taster. If you've been craving something similar to that for a while, you will actually get it on this album. But again, lyrically, it doesn't delve as deep as Kendrick is able to do, but it's a pretty standard, you know, song about, here's an obstacle, how do we overcome it? That's what The Ladder is all about. It is still, of course, a fantastic instrumental, and that Miller serves it admirably, and I don't think he does a bad job with it at all. The next song on the album, Small Worlds, was the lead single and was the one that people had heard coming into this, and for me, it's honestly my least favourite song on the album. I just find the lyrics on this song to be the hokiest, and it's kind of got this stop-start chorus that I just don't like at all, where he's like, the world is so small till it ain't, and I don't mess with that at all. But obviously, I don't feel like his vocals or his lyrics are adding anything to the song, and the kind of somber mood just doesn't do, there isn't any changes or anything interesting to make this song feel like it is anything other than sleepy. Now, making a sleepy kind of spacey song, there's nothing wrong with that, but you gotta do something. You gotta put a little twist in there. You can't just coast on, this song is sleepy, and you know, the world is small, that's enough, lead single. But I get that this was coming at kind of a chaotic time in Miller's life, so I can appreciate it for that sense. It isn't a bad song, and I don't think it should have been scrapped from the album altogether, but it's just my least favourite. It is the low point of the album for me. We get to the song Jet Fuel, which is another just really sad moment on the album, where Miller is talking about his battles with substance abuse in the past, using the metaphor of jet fuel. Miller never runs out of jet fuel. He never runs out of ways to abuse substances. He never runs out of substances to abuse. It ends on kind of a higher note, though, where Miller says that he is going to be here longer than expected because he has, well, thankfully, gotten off these substances. He isn't abusing anymore, so he's going to be here a lot longer than expected. The song 2009 is about, well, the year 2009. It is the longest song on the track listing, and I feel it earns its runtime, almost being 6 minutes, where Miller is reflecting on the year, from the year 2009, which is the year before he dropped his breakout mixtape, to now, and everything he's learned in that time. There is this vibraphone that is being used throughout the song, and it plays this kind of, like, rainy almost passage that is played throughout the song that I just absolutely love, and it adds this texture, and like I said, there is these elements working to make the album sad and make you feel the emotion, and I feel like you feel Miller's emotion, and it is added to so much by this instrument. I love the way it sounds in this album and what it adds. It's not some sort of amazing technical piece. It's just something really simple, really groovy, you know, just something really nice sounding that adds so well to the other elements at play. I would hate to hear a version of this song without this instrument, because I feel like that's the backbone of the whole song and why the song works so well. So yeah, that is exactly how I feel about this album. This is a collection of things adding together to make something that just works, and it works so well. There was all of these unexpected moments and textures, and it is just fantastically arranged so a way that it just feels like a grand spectacle on how to make an album feel a certain way. I honestly feel bad for Miller that his album came out as the same day as Travis Scott's Astroworld, because people were just freaking out about that album. And while I didn't understand the freak out about that, I certainly do understand all of the positive reception that this album got, because I feel the exact same way as most people. It isn't, obviously, lyrically the deepest album, but I feel like the lyrics are serviceable, and all the instrumentation, and all the beats, and all the production, and every element coming together makes something that is just spectacular at times. It does drag, and it does feel overly long at times, but there isn't a song I could say that the album would be better off without. I feel like every song serves its purpose, every moment serves a purpose. It is an hour long, and it feels like that hour, and that's the worst thing I can think about that album, is you could feel the time ticking during the album, but you don't feel like it's time wasted. But there are other albums that are like an hour and a half long or longer that just feel like really short because you're enjoying yourself the whole way through. You can kind of space out at times during this album, and I feel like Miller's flow is honestly my least favorite part, because it gets really repetitive and it gets samey. I feel like if he could change that up a little bit more, a future Mac Miller project would be absolutely phenomenal. Or maybe just get more guest vocalists. I get that we're kind of focusing on Miller and his experiences, but to get someone else on to just pick up when it kind of feels like it's dragging. With that being said, Miller came into this album with a concept and a theme, and he stuck with it throughout, and I feel like it is because of that, and it's because of all of the elements at work, that this album stands on its own 2 feet as honestly one of the best projects to come out of this year. This album is getting a vinyl release, and I am definitely getting it. I did not think that Mac Miller would get, you know, invited to the shelf of records I own over there, but he is. I can't wait to get this on vinyl and listen to all the bass. Oh my god, listening to the bass on vinyl is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. So yeah, Mac Miller's Swimming, 8 out of 10 for me. So that is my thoughts on Astroworld. Did you guys like it? Did you find it was boring? There was a bit of mixed reception. A couple of people coming out saying, yeah, this album is boring, and I don't like Miller, and I don't like all of these things. That's not aimed at anyone in particular, of course. But, yeah, so what did you think of the review? What did you think of the album? Have a little discussion in the comments. Any constructive criticism, as always, is welcome. And, yeah, I'll catch you in the next review. I'll see you.